Headlines: Women canvasses support for special seats bill. Airport authority addresses flight delays ahead of Yuletide season. And Senate demands full disclosure and 1.44 trillion naira surplus from CBN. And on the foreign scene, DRC, Rwanda signed peace accord in the U.S. FCT announces major road closure ahead of Abuja International Half Marathon. Good evening. This is S24 Television News Live. I am Halima Abdurrahman for details of our major stories. Women leaders from 19 political parties have taken their campaign for greater representation to Social Democratic Party headquarters in Abuja. Their visit is aimed at securing the party's backing for the special seats bill currently before the National and State Assemblies. Our correspondent now reports on the demands tabled by the women and the assurances they received.
Women leaders from across 19 political parties lend their voices with a united message. The special seat bill must receive broad political support to boost women's representation in Nigeria's legislature. The delegation appealed to the Social Democratic Party and its National Working Committee to collaborate with them in ensuring that the reserved seat bill for women gets the necessary backing from lawmakers at both federal and state levels, and also urged the party to open more leadership spaces for women within its internal structure. Responding, the Social Democratic Party pledged its full support for the advancement of women in politics, describing women as the pillar upon which every society is built.
Within the political party, I already highlighted how SD featured women so important. And I want to assure you we're doing everything possible to enhance that the more. This is a priority bill to the Social Democratic Party. We know the importance of our mothers, wives, daughters, and co will not be overemphasized. If we're able to pass through this bill, I'm sure we will see a lot of changes in our socio-cultural, socio-economic, even the security and other things, because you are the one that have finch more in any respect in whatever endeavor that we find ourselves.
The special seat bill, sponsored by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, seeks to create additional reserved seats to enable more women participate actively in lawmaking in Nigeria's parliament. Kabir Abdurrauf, S24 Television.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has received letters of credence from 21 new foreign envoys, including 17 ambassadors and 4 high commissioners at a ceremony held in the Council Chamber of the State House, Abuja. Speaking during the ceremony, President Tinubu reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to strengthen global partnerships, pledged the country's readiness to deepen cooperation in key sectors such as trade, energy, agriculture, education, technology, defense, and cultural exchange. The president noted that the world is facing shared challenges, including security threats, climate pressures, and economic instability. He assured the diplomats of Nigeria's full cooperation and said his doors remain open for constructive engagement throughout their tenure. Responding on behalf of the envoys, the Japanese ambassador Suzuki Hideo described the occasion as landmark, highlighted Nigeria's strategic leadership role in ECOWAS and across Africa, adding that the new envoys look forward to productive relations with the country. And in 2018 and 2019, a group of young Nigerian innovators came together with a shared mission to bridge one of the country's most persistent gaps: access to healthcare. The collaboration gave birth to My Clinic, a digital health company committed to taking medical care to communities where it has long been out of reach. Now to our correspondent Samira Usman Adam in an interview with one of the young minds championing this cause.
In 2018-19, some of my colleagues and I, we teamed up together to form a company called My Clinic. So My Clinic's core mission is to take healthcare to places where people have no access, where it's not accessible. We believe that even though we have chronic shortage of doctors in Nigeria, there is a way to still utilize the same doctors, basically just to use technology to get healthcare to places where there are no, healthcare professionals. So we rolled out, mobile applications, toll-free lines. As we were just launching, COVID now hit, and it was a very big opportunity for telemedicine then, because people were not able to move around because of the lockdown. And then because people were also afraid of going to the hospital so they don't catch COVID. There's always this situation where you're not sure whether you should go to the hospital or you should just wait for it to self-resolve. And the most likely outcome from those kind of scenarios is self-medication. So we're trying to prevent that. At every opportunity, we want you to be able to talk to a doctor. And after the consultation, the doctor is now able to tell you whether your condition can be managed online or if you need to go into a hospital, right? So you've been to the hospital before. You could be in literal emergency and someone is out there looking for your folder or your records. That's very, very inefficient. A lot of people have died because someone could not find their folder, and they were given something they're allergic to. So it's a very, very dangerous problem, keeping records manually. So it's a no-brainer that this is the direction of the world. Many countries have gone fully digital, and that's where we're going to also.
How do you think the government and private sectors can come in and play a role in scaling up digital health solutions?
The duty of government is to provide the enabling environment for all these initiatives to thrive. Some of the biggest challenges we have right now in the digital health space is the lack of infrastructure. And I mean digital infrastructure. We need government to provide standards by which all players in the digital health space will operate. Naming conventions for diagnosis. For example, we have a standard for diagnosis called the ICD. When you go to the hospital, your doctor must choose from one of the items under ICD as your diagnosis. So it contains like a database of all the possible diagnoses, in the world. And there are medications, naming conventions. Other countries have that, this, global standard. It's like all of us will take from one bucket. And whenever I'm trying to communicate with you, there's a phenomenon called interoperability, like data portability, basically. So when I say paracetamol, you should understand it as paracetamol, and everybody should understand, the naming as the same thing. So this allows us to maintain the same context whenever we're communicating. We've deployed electronic health records to many, many Nigerian hospitals, and one of the biggest challenges they have is power. They're entering the records on the computer. One moment, the next moment, there is no light. So they now have to revert to paper. So what now happens to what they have recorded on paper? Do they now later enter it? You lose the timestamp, and all of that. So it's very tricky. There's this joke that our 5G is like 3.5G in other places, right? So we need to get broadband connectivity, right? We need to expand, internet access. So basically all of the infrastructure that is needed to provide that enabling environment for digital health to thrive.
In a split decision of 6 justices to 1, the Supreme Court on Friday struck out a suit filed by the Attorney General of Osun State against the Attorney General of the Federation over withheld allocations due to local government areas in the state. The Apex Court held that the Osun State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice lacked the legal right to have instituted the case on behalf of the 30 local governments in the state. The court held that those who won the local government election and having been inaugurated were the jurisdiction persons that can sue and be sued directly. In a judgment on Friday, the Supreme Court also held that the federal government erred in withholding the local government fund, adding that the action was in grave breach of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Justice Mohammed Baba Idris, who read the lead judgment, said the federal government swallowed its hands over the decision to unjustly seize fund and admonished it to strictly ensure that the funds are directly channeled to local government accounts. And from minerals to agriculture to renewable energy, the message was clear. Northern Nigeria is blessed with opportunities that can drive not only regional growth, but significantly boost Nigeria's overall economy. Tonight, S24 takes a closer look at the conversations, commitments, and challenges ahead, and the urgent call for leaders to move beyond talk and turn these recommendations into actions.
As people from this disadvantaged part of the country, economically speaking, I've seen people from all over the world participating in the summit, and I've seen how enthusiastic, how positive our people from this part of the country are in the summit, so vibrant, so active, and we have succeeded in bringing investors to listen to us. We have been able to showcase what we have in abundance that we cannot maybe get it anywhere in this country. Not even in this country. What we have here, you can rarely have it anywhere in the whole world. We are blessed, and we have been able to tell them how blessed we are. And I have seen how much interest it has aroused from our guests whom we are expecting to come and invest.
The future of Northern Nigeria truly depends on how much we can unlock the potential in minerals and agriculture and power. But apart from the fact that it's unlocking the potential of Northern Nigeria, it also is unlocking the potential of Nigeria. There's no doubt about it that if you do that, it has a great impact on the country as large. So I commend them. The only thing we must ensure that it's not just talk shop. We have to see that we address some of the recommendation and bring it into use. So one of the key things we need to do is improve on the collaboration and working together of all the different stakeholders, not just government, particularly public and private sector partnership. Very, very key in seeing that happens. But the fact that we're talking about it is a good step. We just need to follow through.
Northern Nigeria has massive amounts of capital. So in terms of land, some form of infrastructure. We also have labor, a very young population. Now, when you look at GDP or output, as it is called, GDP growth is driven by multipliers of capital, labor, and innovation or technology. And I think that's which is the innovation or technology layer, is what we're missing. So expanding on that, there's a lot of call for the government to do many things, but we also know that the government can create an enabling environment, but the government should not be running businesses.
What you want is the government to ease your affairs, so you can easily apply for land. You can easily register a company. Fortunately, with the Karma Act now, that is easy. And you do not get bottlenecks in the bureaucracy, so you can set up your business and get proper financing. So the public plays that role, but is almost an invisible hand. But it's the private sector that will provide job opportunities. It's always been the case. It's not government. And it's also the private sector that will create wealth. So that relationship is essential for the progress of not just Northern Nigeria, but the North as a whole.
We just need to realize that no one is coming to save us, like we always say. If we want to predict the future, you have to build the future. The fact is simple. If we don't come together and do this, then these challenges that we keep discussing are going to come and haunt us, and we'll end up doing worse than our parents. So we are saying, no, we're not going to do that. Even if it's 1% incremental change, we're okay with it.
The Court of Appeal in Abuja has upheld a federal high court ruling that bars the Directorate of Road Traffic Services, popularly known as VIO, from stopping or impounding vehicles and imposing fines on motorists. A three-member panel of the appellate court dismissed the VIO's appeal, ruling that it lacked merit. Justice Onyejeju Oyewumi, who delivered the lead judgment, also awarded a cost of 1 million naira in favor of rights activist Abubakar Marshall. The case originated from a fundamental rights suit filed by Marshall, who told the court he was unlawfully stopped and his vehicle confiscated by VIO officials in the Jabi area of Abuja in December 2023. Justice Nkeonye Maha of the Federal High Court had earlier declared that no existing law empowers the VIO to stop, seize, or fine motorists for traffic violations, describing such actions as oppressive and unlawful. With the appeal court's decision, the restriction on VIO operations remain in force, preventing the agency and its officials from impounding vehicles or imposing fines on motorists across the Federal Capital Territory. And Nigeria's governance crisis is no longer just about individual leaders, but systemic failure that keeps producing the same outcomes. Zainab Buba Galadima calls for accountability in an exclusive interview with S24.
Transparency and accountability, we're far from it as a country.
Yes.
Because as citizens, we are not doing our own due diligence to make sure that we hold people in places of authority accountable. Because, of course, you elected someone. You should be able to follow through whatever it is. Do you think it is doable to get leaders accountable and transparent in their dealings?
Absolutely. It is very possible. People are getting more enlightened. I know it's not something that you can just do tomorrow or in 2027, but it's a gradual process. Many developing countries had to go through so many hurdles to be able to get to where they are. So as Nigerians, as citizens, we have a lot to do. Because I think that if we choose our leaders this way and we do not ask for transparency or accountability, it is our fault. So if these leaders know that if you get there, this is what we expect from you, this would encourage them to fix the system, because we have a systemic problem. It's not even about the individual. Like I always say, no matter how bad somebody is, as long as the system works, it will take care of that person's excesses. But if there isn't, then we keep getting the same crop of leaders in a very bad way, and they keep getting worse. And every single day you see a leader, if he leaves, they'll be like, oh, we wish this one comes back.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the system. You know, sometimes I've been on corridors of power. I've been in positions where at least I contributed my own quota. Sometimes if you mean well and you really want to serve the people, it's really hard, because there are so many factors that limit you to actually, doing your best sometimes. And then at the end of the day, your best is not really noticeable or doesn't really make a difference, especially if you're the only one that has the vision. So we really have a lot of work to do from the home front. We've lost the family values in the society. We've lost there's moral decadence. Things like this. These are things that we need to address. If not, then I don't know where we would go, because there are so many issues that are just waiting to explode.
The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria has urged airlines to adjust their flight schedules ahead of the Christmas travel rush to reduce the usual delays and cancellations. FAN Managing Director Olubumi Kuku made the appeal at a stakeholders retreat in Abuja. Kuku said FAN is holding weekly meetings with airlines, ground handlers, and other aviation stakeholders to ensure smooth operations between December and January. The FAN boss also revealed that efforts are underway to fix faulty cooling systems, addressing recurring power issue, and improving sanitation across major airports. On revenue performance, Kuku announced significant growth under the current administration, with non-aeronautical revenue rising by over 50% and aeronautical earnings also improving. With this, we'll go on a short break. You can also watch us live on our social media platforms. And still to come, Senate demands full disclosure on 1.44 trillion naira surplus from CBN. DRC
Women
Rwanda
leaders
signed
from
peace
across
accord
19
in
political
US.
parties.
That's on the foreign scene, and FCT announces major road closure ahead of Abuja International Marathon. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's still S24 television news. And moving on, the Nigerian Senate has demanded a full explanation from the Central Bank of Nigeria over an alleged 1.44 trillion naira in unremitted operating surplus. The call for transparency came during a briefing by the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions. The Senate stressed that public trust in monetary governance depends on strict accountability and urged the CBN to provide a clear, documented response, including corrective measures and safeguards to prevent future lapses, despite acknowledging the bank's role in stabilizing the economy. CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso highlighted major improvement in the economy, including a 7-month decline in inflation to 16.05%. A stabilized foreign exchange market and external reserves rising to $46.7 billion, the highest in nearly 7 years, and also noted a surge in diaspora remittances and foreign capital inflows. Despite these gains, the Senate pressed for clarity on policies including high cash reserve ratios, FX forward settlement, mutilated Naira note, bank charges, failed electronic transactions, and regulatory oversight of CBN subsidiaries. And as Nigeria prepares to roll out its 2026 tax reforms, there is growing debate about whether the new policy truly sits well with citizens, especially with questions around who will be taxed and who is exempt. Beyond the paperwork, many Nigerians are still unsure about what the new taxation law actually means for them. To get a sense of public understanding and reaction, we now turn to our correspondent Zainab Ibrahim, who spoke with FCT residents.
The year is coming to an end, and 2026 is packed with a lot of new laws. One of it is the taxation law. Citizens will be asked to pay tax by 2026. In respect of this, today we are going to find out from citizens how do they feel about their new realization, and if they are ready to pay tax. Is the government even listening to the perception of the citizens before executing this act? Let's find out.
I don't think it's a very good idea because they're already going through a lot in the country. So the government now trying to impose another law on us citizens. It's not a good thing. So in my opinion, I think if I have the power to talk to the masses, bring out everybody to talk, get to make the government understand that this is going to affect us already. I'm the youth for crying out loud, so I know what we are going through already. So now bringing another reduction of money on us, no, it's too much now.
About the tax that they are going to increase, I'm not in support of it because of the situation, the insecurity of the country. So I'm not in support of it. The government should suspend that action. That is my own opinion.
This issue of this tax of 18 that the government is planning to add next year, so for me, I am not happy because of the way the country is now. We will be running scatter to see where we go to train our children. The one where they get themselves never even reach us. And the one can say add another one next year. How go to survive them? For me, I know they happy. Make government know what they go do. That one where they plan to bring next year, me, I know they happy about them. So let them do something that to make all of us to be happy. No, it's much change they get again. Me, not as man, how they do. As they pay buy ticket here. They won't go see another one next year. Kai, Nigeria make now work on our head though, because we would suffer well. If Nigeria is on again, the thing will help us well. Please, Nigeria, all of us are take control, but men help us. Make we see what we feed the job with our family.
According to the government, from 2026, all Nigerians will start paying tax. Well, my own opinion, if they are going to use the tax judiciously, fine, I have no issue about it. But whereby they don't, that's where the issue becomes. I'm having serious doubt. 99%, I don't believe on the government, on what they say. But let's just give it a try. But to me, I don't believe it. But let's just give it a try.
And on the forums, the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda signed a peace agreement aimed at ending decades of deadly conflict in Eastern DRC and formally endorsed on Thursday. A high-profile ceremony brings together leaders from both countries, peace and prosperity. Under the deal, both countries commit to respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity, to disarm non-state armed groups, and to stop support for militias operating across their borders. The agreement also calls for disarmament, the safe and dignified return of refugees and internally displaced persons, and the establishment of mechanisms to prevent future hostilities. In addition to security provisions, the pact envisions an economic integration for the region's vast mineral wealth in cobalt, copper, lithium, and other critical resources. And a new chapter in understanding the realities of modern conflict is taking shape in the United Kingdom. Independent Museum, a center based in Leicester, is building 10 archives that document the lived experience of civilians affected by war, using film, photography, audio, and new media to preserve histories often left untold. Tonight, we bring you more on the Kissa archive and what it aims to change and how the world remembers conflicts. Stay with us.
The Conflict Memory Education Centre, an independent museum based in Leicester, UK. My vision was to have 10 documentary archives that focus on recent wars and periods and the lived experience of those affected by conflict and how those experiences relate to wider historical and political developments. The Conflict Memory Education Centre is an independent registered museum and is designed to support formal and informal education. The material will be made available for use in workshops, academic courses and exhibitions. Media will help to open up conversations about complex histories and their ongoing relevance. In this short explainer video, I'd like to share with you the archive on Afghanistan called Kissa. The Kissa archive, meaning story in Pashto and Dari, will focus on Afghanistan's experience of conflict from the Soviet invasion in 1979 through to the post-2001 NATO presence and the return of Taliban control in August 2021. The archive will draw on local stories, including testimonies from journalists, teachers and families affected by successive changes in power. It will include photographs, audio recordings and short films focused on life during conflict and the role of cultural memory. The ongoing exclusion of women from day-to-day society by the Taliban is something that needs more attention in the international media. And this archive will strive to get this issue raised through demonstrating how women contributed and developed a society for 20 years focused on a new Afghanistan, a society that gave women access to education and so much more. By developing these archives, the Conflict Memory Education Centre contributes to the documentation of conflict from a community perspective. The project remains open to further contributions and partnerships. I've created 4 archives already, focused on Ukraine, Iraq, Chechnya and Nigeria, and there are 5: Pakistan, Cambodia, Rwanda and finally Latin America. We remain open to contributions, so please get in touch. Thank you for watching.
And on sport, the Federal Capital Territory Directorate of Road Traffic Services has announced major road closures across Abuja ahead of the 2026 International Half Marathon taking place on Saturday, December 6th, 2025. The restrictions will last from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. as thousands of athletes participate in the annual race. According to officials, the marathon will start opposite the National Fire Service on Muhammadu Buhari Way before moving across key routes in the city. This includes Constitution Avenue, the Federal Secretariat Axis, Shehu Shagari Way, the Court of Appeal area, Goodluck Jonathan Expressway, and Murtala Muhammad Expressway. The race will then proceed through Apple an Area 1 roundabout and continue along the Nnamdi Azikiwe Expressway toward Ambassador Valentine Okereke Boulevard and Christopher Wabi Musa Way. It will finish in front of the velodrome at the MKO Abiola National Stadium. Authorities say the full stretch of the route will be temporarily closed to guarantee athletes' safety, with traffic and security personnel deployed to manage movement and support motorists. And the Super Eagles have adjusted both their training camp venue resumption date for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. This change comes after FIFA ordered that clubs may only release players for the tournament from December 15th. Following the directive, the Super Eagles will now open camp on December 14th as against the earlier scheduled December 10th date to begin preparations for the Continental Championship. The team has also changed its training location, switching from their earlier planned base in Egypt to a new camp in Morocco. Officials say the adjustment will allow the technical crew to work with the full squad in line with FIFA's release window as the team intensifies preparation for the AFCON 2025 finals. And in the entertainment scene, the Edo State Assembly has summoned Natasha Irobosa, the lawmaker representing Ego constituency and wife of music star Tu Baba, following a series of viral videos showing tense moments between the couple. The assembly says the clips include one from an Instagram live by Daddy Freeze and another allegedly filmed in the UK and have dragged the legislature into disrepute. Speaker Blessing Agbebaku says Natasha must appear before the Ethics and Privileges Committee to explain the conduct as public debate continues to grow over whether the matter is private or one that affects public office persons. And before our top stories, Women canvasses support for special seats bill. Airport Authority addresses flight delays ahead of Yuletide season, and Senate demands full disclosure on 1.44 trillion naira surplus from CBN. And the foreigners in DRC, Rwanda signed peace accord in US, and FCT announces major road closure ahead of Abuja International Marathon. And that's our bulletin for tonight. I am Halima Abdurrauf. Thank you for watching S24 Television News. Stay safe, stay informed, and bye for now.